What's up guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before we get into today's video, I want to make you guys well aware. Over 85% of you guys are not even subscribed. Make sure to go down below, check. Are you subscribed? Are you brand new here? Hit the subscribe button and enjoy the video. What's on guys, Jay Hoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to episode number 20 of our franchise mode with the Anaheim Ducks. We are back here at the start of the off season. So you know it's going to be a little bit of a longer video. Hopefully we'll cut that down. There's not too many boring parts and we actually have a pretty good off season. So we were able to re-sign Tyler Bertuzzi to a contract. We're going to look to trade him. We did not end up signing Strome in time, so we have a contract offer in, so we might have to trade him once free agency starts, not necessarily the re-sign stage, but just after that on July 1st, and I think we're in a good position other than that. Obviously, we have a lot of centers we can do stuff with if we need to, but if we get rid of Strome, we get rid of Bertuzzi, we should be in a good spot. So we are at the draft. I don't actually remember what picks we have, so a good reminder for us. So that's right, we don't have a first round pick this year, so we have a second, a third, actually 2/3, a fourth, fifth, and sixth, no seventh. So, okay, so no big deal, right? We already have a lot of really good young prospects, and I was trying to figure this out before the video. I think we're like 4 or 5 years into it now, and we sit in a good spot as far as prospects go, and we're in the part where we're contending every year, but we need to win in the playoffs. That's kind of the goal right now. So we need to get into the draft, kind of into the re-sign stage, into the actual part where we can make deals. So we're going to kind of go to the next pick. We got some guys on the trade block that I'm going to try to get rid of, and then kind of see what else is out there. And then if nothing happens, we'll see the first pick. So after scrolling through the find trade screen, a lot of the teams, and trying to figure out our best option, I feel like going back to that find trade option on this mode is our best option. And doing that, we found this trade for a 1-for-1 deal, Bertuzzi over to Carolina for Brett Pesce. Now, what is this deal, right? So we're trading away a second, I'll say a top 9 winger for what would be a top 4 defenseman. Now, Brett Pesce is the same age at 32 years old. He's a right defenseman, 86 overall, and he's been really kind of consistent along his entire career, getting about like 20, 25 points, like I would say almost guaranteed. And Carolina's been one of those teams that's kind of been up and down, kind of in and out of the playoffs, so the plus minus isn't necessarily great for a lot of those years, you know, minus 22, minus 22, minus 13. But then you look at the other one, plus 21. So it's like on the right team, a team that can contend every year, he's probably putting up 25 points, plus 20, plus 15, you know, some good number. He's an absolute workhorse for us, or would be for us. And looking at our defensive core, now it's going to skip over here, so we'll have to take this in a part 2 here. Is when you look at our defensive core and you look what we have to do this offseason. So we already have Pelech, Drysdale, and Mitkov on our defensive core, all locked up into next year, along with Pedersen. I don't know how to pronounce it because obviously there's both ways in the NHL. And then you have Fabro down here who wants a new contract, and he's going to want 5, maybe even 6, or even higher than that $1 million for a good, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it may be. So ideally, I'll probably end up moving on from Fabro, even though I do like what he brings to the team. He's been really consistent for us, and he's even performing almost up to the Drysdale level of performance. So, with like the 31 plus 20 that year, I mean, took a step down this year, 24 points, plus 11. I mean, he's been solid for us as a second or even third line defenseman. And, ever since we got him, he's been pretty good. But at the same time, he's been the same overall that entire time. Hasn't grown at all, but is very solid. So it's hard to get rid of him. Now, if he wanted $2.5 million again, I'd probably re-sign him for that. However, trying to re-sign him he's kind of asked for a lot more money. So if he does end up becoming a free agent and wants, $2 million, then I might go after him again. But for now, we're going to try to plan a replacement for him. So, and that's where it goes over to Carolina, which we talked about before the deal, the draft went through there, is the 1-for-1 for Bertuzzi. So, after figuring out, I feel like this is the best option. We're going to put Pesce in our top 4. We have enough people that can fight for the third line right defensive spot, along with even the basically the third line defensive pairing will be a battle in the offseason, or in the preseason, will be almost guaranteed. So 1-for-1, Bertuzzi for Pesce. We will be saving a little bit of money, I guess, in this deal, given what Bertuzzi wanted for a re-sign contract. And I feel like this is just going to be helpful for both teams. When you look at the left wing situation, they have kind of one guy and then it's young guys, or even just older guys that don't really make sense. Or you have Tracy over there who, kind of failed out of us. But, I feel like that'll help them out a little bit, help us out a little bit, and I feel like I'm going to do it. There it is, Brett Pesce. Welcome to Anaheim. And like I said, I feel like that'll be beneficial for both teams. But let's go trade away these last few players on our trade block and see what we can get out of them and then get up to our first round pick. Well, the only thing that really happened during the draft was we made, I think it was 2 small trades. One of them being Andre, our defenseman. Someone proposed a trade to us for a 3rd round draft pick. And honestly, as a 80 overall, 25-year-old defenseman with a little bit of trade value and our team situation, it made sense, right? We got a 3rd round pick out of it. Didn't really get much as far as the actual pick went, at least for now, or, a decent, high-level prospect. But he was kind of out of favor with our team, and he was just kind of on the outskirts anyway, and I was going to look to trade him anyway. So we got rid of him, 3rd round pick back in the favor of him. And the second one was we acquired Ty Smith from the Colorado Avalanche, who was a defenseman, 82 overall. League minimum contract, and we got we basically swapped 6 round picks to Colorado, and we got Smith back, as well as we traded away Riley Smith for Anthony Beauvillier, who we might sign, might not sign, depending on what he wants for a contract. So along with that, we did have Ryan Strome accept our contract offer for $8.5 million. We didn't really want to do that. But he is here, and we're going to probably look to trade him at some point, which will have to be once free agency starts. So we'll have to keep that in mind as we keep going. But for now, let's get underway here. So, well, here we are at the start of the free agent period, and we did re-sign everybody that we wanted to or attempted to. A couple people wanted too big of a contract. Ty Smith, Anthony Beauvillier, the guys we tried to trade for, really low cost on both of them, so I wasn't really too worried if we weren't able to re-sign them. Right, we traded away Riley Smith, who we probably weren't going to re-sign anyway. Along with we traded our 6th round pick away from another 6th round pick from last year's draft. They were 2 spots apart, and we had the option to sign Ty Smith. He wanted a big contract, doesn't work out, no big deal. So we did re-sign Strome. He actually signed the day after the draft, and we are going to now look to trade him. Now, what we're going to get back, I'm not really sure, but we have a couple of trades to try to make here and to kind of see where we go from there. So I haven't looked at free agency yet to see who's there, but we're going to try to take care of these trades first and then go from there. Well, when the first 15 trade attempts all fail, you come to another option and hope that one works. So the next trade we have for you, or I guess the only trade so far that you guys have seen, is this one. So we've been trying to trade both Strome and Eriksson Ek, and trying to trade them together kind of for one big piece has been very difficult to do, because of course we could sell them separately and get picks and prospects and whatever, or a decent bottom 9 player. But at the same time, our goal was to trade both Strome and Eriksson Ek for kind of a second line centerman that fits our scheme with our coach, and have a 1-2 punch 1-2 like big lines, and then fill the rest in with depth. And I feel like this trade makes sense after our failed last 2 or even 3 big trades. And I feel like this would make sense. So Eriksson Ek, so 85 overall, 30 years old, kind of like a second, third liner depending on what team you're on. Well, if you look, he doesn't really fit on our second line, and he fits on our first and third line. Well, he's not going to bump Zegras, and McTavish is a perfect third line centerman for us. And then we have Strome, who has been really good for us, fits on that second line perfectly. However, I'm trying to maximize his value here. Last year, or I guess 2 years ago, was his biggest season ever. We tried to trade him after that while his value was sky high, and it didn't work. But he came back down to earth, 67 points, which is what he's kind of been like throughout his entire tenure with us until 2 years ago, where he had, obviously, the monster year. But we're kind of at a point where we need to change something up, and this seems to be it. So both Strome and Eriksson Ek are on the trade here, going over to Philadelphia for Morgan Frost. Now, Morgan Frost, 88 overall, 29 years old, is listed as a first-line centerman, center playmaker, elite potential. I mean, his stats don't look that great from this year, but if you look back, 71 points, 82 points. We're hoping for more of the same, given our better situation than Philadelphia. He can do it, same kind of thing as Strome, but, that's what we're kind of hoping for, is he comes in and kind of gets back to those 60, 70 point, maybe even get up to 80 point mark. What else? 20 minutes. Fits our second line, which is well. He does have a big time contract at $8.9, almost $9 million for 5 more years. So to put him until he's 33, it gives us a good chance to kind of go from, these older guys to a semi-younger guy, not by much. But we also have a second-round pick in here just because the value didn't really seem the same. But if you take that value off, it seems like way too much from our side. So we're going to try a pick in there and hope that works. So will this go through? No. So we take off the draft pick and it goes through. Although I'd like to have another pick in there just as something different. We do end up acquiring him. So that's pretty big for us, right? We have now our 1-2 punch, I guess, if you want to consider that, with Frost and with Zegras. Both guys locked up for the next at least 4 years. McTavish locked up for another 3. So our top 3 centermen are all great, right? We have some guys that we could put around them that I'm super excited about. Now, there's a couple of guys in free agency that I wish I could kind of undo the contract for, and we might end up having to trade them just because of how our team is laid out. But we should be in a good spot, but let's go get into free agency and see what we can find. Well, trying to get the best for Dante Fabro hasn't really gone too well. So the best thing we're getting is 2 third-round draft picks. So we're going to send him over to Buffalo, an Eastern Conference team that we don't usually face off against. And we're going to get rid of him. 2 third-round picks. I mean, it's better than nothing. Well, in an effort to kind of change around the dynamic of our team a little bit, getting a little bit younger and trying to save some money where we can, we're going to try to trade away Adam Pelech. Now, I know we got him. We were super excited about him, and I still really was, right? With a big defensive defenseman that was good overall, that at the time, we weren't really worried about money, and now we're starting to get into the point where some of our guys are wanting bigger contracts, that we're trying to get some younger players into the team, and players that are kind of similar, and figure out where they exactly fit on our team, trying to enhance other players as well. But Adam Pelech, 87 overall, right? Big defenseman, big time overall. Not necessarily a superstar by any means, but top 4, top 2 defenseman as far as a defensive defenseman goes. I mean, solid stats overall. He fits our team, so I'm not really worried about that. Since we've gotten him, he's been fine, right? He's nothing against what he's brought to the table. He's been kind of exactly what we wanted from him. But in order to kind of shred a little bit of money so we can sign some other players, we're going to try to get rid of him over to the Calgary Flames. Now, neither team really wants this deal, but we're going to try to see if we can make this go through. So what we're going to be getting back is actually a young player by the name of Nicholas Harold, who is a 87 overall, same overall. We are 12 years younger, still a medium elite potential, top 4. And if we look at Harold's stats here, he's really new. Obviously 20 years old, left-handed. Got 28 points last year, -5, but we're not really getting him for points. Now, he did also do really well last year in the AHL, or 2 years ago in the AHL, 44 points, 25 plus minus. And obviously, he is big, right? 6'4". So he's got some similar stats all around. He's exactly what we need. Fits in the first line, all penalty kill lines. Still, we have 2 more years under kind of like team control, I guess you want to call it. And I feel like this is a good trade. Now, I don't think it's going to go through straight 1-for-1, but we're going to try. Will it? No. Well, a couple of picks and a couple of prospects, and we do end up making the trade. Now, it did cost us, I think, 1 or 2 first-round picks. We'll have to double-check when we get back there. And as well as, what's his name? Goncher? Not really sure. But he was basically a fourth-line centerman, top line in the AHL. You know, kind of stuck there behind some players and waiting for a spot in the NHL. Along with a right defenseman, again, that was just not really progressing, but did have a little bit of trade value as well as the draft pick. So we get a little bit younger, we shred a little bit of money, and now we're continuing on with the offseason. So here is a look at our approached players so far that we have offered contracts to. So the top 3 of these being Phillip Danault, who was one of the reasons we were looking for another centerman or to try to trade Strome and Eriksson Ek. However, I wish there was a feature where you could withdraw the contract, because I probably would have. Now, this is a great deal for 85 overall centerman. However, I really would love to not have him accept that deal, because it would make my life a lot easier. Along with that, though, Andre Palat, 84 overall, playmaker, 36 years old. Knows how to win and is still pretty decent. Good contract. Looking to put him on our third line left wing spot. And then Colin White, we did not offer him $2.4 million. We're offering him a very low ball offer of $1.25 million at 1 year. If we can get him, great. If not, I'm not really too worried. We'll have to find something else later on. And the rest of the 3 players down here we got for depth purposes, so I'm not really going to go too much into those guys. So we also offered a free agent goalie contract. Again, prospect in the system. Not going to see him probably. But let's simulate a couple of days here and go from there. So here we are at the start of the preseason. And although we're not starting in this the next season in this video, we're going to show you guys kind of what's going on. Of course, we'll recap it in next video as well. But we did get 2 of our big signings in the free agency period, being Phillip Danault and Andre Palat. So super excited about both of those guys. Danault, I was really hoping almost that he wouldn't fit on our team too well, but given that he actually fits pretty well on our team, then hopefully that does work out, because we already have a lot of centers, and we're going to have a struggle to kind of fit them into our team. But obviously, this is not our final roster by any means. Obviously, we're missing 3 of our better players in Ehlers, Terry, and Zegras. So we're giving a lot of people a lot of chances this preseason. A lot of young guys are getting some playing time to kind of see if they're ready to be up here or not. So just to start the preseason, it's going to look like this. Jake DeBrusk, McTavish, as well as Mercer on the first line. Perreault, Frost, and Palat on the second line. Stenberg, Danault, and Clark on the third line. And Fisher, Anderson, and Inglis on the fourth line. Now, of course, that's going to swap around. We're going to try some guys in some different spots, guys with different line mates, and just kind of see how that all works out. So defensively, it's going to look like this, at least to start. Harold and Drysdale, Martinson and Bentley, and Peterson and Wu. Of course, we have, who am I forgetting about? Pesci and Mintyukov as our scratch defensemen. Obviously, they're probably going to be our second line anyway. But we're going to try to give some young guys and the new acquisitions a chance to get in there and get in the lineup. So goaltenders as well. We have Dostal, Kakko, and we have Sorokin, of course. So we're going to give those guys a few games each, and probably we're most likely going to end up sticking with Sorokin and Dostal. So lots of guys are going to get some good opportunities for playing time, and I'm actually pretty excited to see how these guys perform this preseason to set us up for a brand new year. But that's going to do it for today's video. We got a great season ahead of us, lots of young players to look forward to, and I could not be more excited. But like I said, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.